must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Mi naitwa Brenda Cheretich na niko 26 years old. So I was the first patient to be confirmed with COVID-19, which is hiyo ndio disease ni iko caused by coronavirus. So I came out to the Ministry of Health, and I let them know that I was concerned because I had shown symptoms of COVID-19. Na hakuna mtu alini pressure like go forward. Ni mimi tu niliamua as a responsible Kenyan nifanye nione as in juni kazi yangu as a responsible Kenyan kukuja mbele na kuambia government, I think this is what is happening and you might have to test me. Na niko happy because waliamua kunitake seriously, wakanitest, and that's when wakapata niko positive. So after wakanipata niko positive, walinipea treatment, walini support sana, and niko very thankful to all of them for what they did. Kitu nataka kwa show ni kuwa hii kitu ni manageable na ni treatable. If you think you have it, don't be afraid. Usiogope ati watu watasema nini or that ati watu watani stigmatize. Hiyo ni kitu tu, it's something that ni normal. It happens to anyone. And unaweza contract. It doesn't matter. Unaweza kwa young, you can contract it. You can also be a child and you can be an older person. Hii kitu ni ya anyone. It doesn't discriminate. I discriminate based on age, ati when, how many years, or gender, ama ethnicity. Hii kitu ni ya kila mtu, but because we are really trying to fight hii coronavirus, it's also part of your responsibility kama Mkenya, ukwe responsible na ukuje out with your story. Because mmeona mimi niko confident with my story, right? Sijaogopa anything. So that's what I would like to tell you guys now, because najua kuna patients sahi wana receive treatment and wanaweza kuwa a little overwhelmed. Najua it's normal, it happens to every patient. Nataka tu kuambia stay strong, because the doctors wanajua what they are doing. Unaweza fikiria they don't know, but they know what they are doing. They're constantly talking on video conferences, on phones na experts from other parts of the world. Unafaa tu kuwa trust and be positive. And thank you to everyone mwenye ameni support through this journey, and also for the CS, pia yamekuwa very supportive, and I would just like to tell anyone, stigmatize anyone, don't kabisa. And be strong.
Afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us yet again for another edition of Diaspora Dispatches, where we get to look at the news making headlines across the continent. Sorry, we apologize for that. But thank you very much for joining us. This is Diaspora Dispatches, and thank you so much for staying with us since morning. Now we get to look at the news-making headlines across the African continent. But before we get into that, I'd like for us to just look at a few African countries and see where we are standing in terms of the COVID-19 statistics. Are we doing much better in terms of flattening the curves, or are the numbers continuing to go up there? Thank you so much. So we start with Kenya now. The figures in Kenya right now as they stand, 1,618 cases have been confirmed. The death toll is 58, recoveries is 421. Uganda confirmed cases right now has gone up to 317, recoveries is 69. Tanzania still the same. Zambia, the cases is 1,057, the death toll is 7, recoveries is 779. Zimbabwe 149, 4 people have died, 28 others have recovered. South Sudan 994, the death toll there is 10, recoveries is 6, and then Sudan cases there is 4,346. 195 people have died, recoveries is 749. And in Ethiopia, 831 people have confirmed to be having this COVID-19. 7 people have died, and recoveries is 191. Madagascar, the numbers keep going up, and today they are at 656. The death toll there is 2. Recoveries is 154. And in Somalia, confirmed cases is 1,828. The death toll there is 72. 310 people have recovered there from Somalia, and in Rwanda the confirmed cases is 349, recoveries is 245, and no deaths have been reported there from Rwanda. And South Africa, also the numbers there have gone up, with confirmed cases right now standing at 27,403. 577 people have died. Recoveries is 14,370. And in Egypt, confirmed cases is 20,793. The death toll in Egypt is 845. Recoveries is 5,359. And in Burundi, the case is still at 42. 1 person have died and 20 others have recovered. And also we move to Nigeria, where the cases right now is at 8,915. 259 people have died, and recoveries is 2,592. And in Ghana, confirmed cases is 7,303. 34 people have died, 2,412 others have recovered. And we go to Algeria also, which is one of the countries in Africa that had recorded high numbers. And we see the cases right now stands at 8,997. The death toll in Algeria is 630, and recoveries there is 5,277. And then we finish with Botswana, where the cases right now is at 35. 1 person has died, and recoveries is at 20. So the total cases in Africa, as per 1 hour ago when we prepared this, is 129,135. And the number of deaths in the continent is 3,794. The recoveries that have been made so far is 53,255. And the global cases right now stands at 5,920,086. And the global deaths right now stands at 362,360, and the global recoveries is 2,592,001. Sometimes I have to catch myself while reading those figures and realize these are not just statistics that we're reading, but actually these are actual people, actual lives that have been lost there. And indeed, our heart goes out to the people who have lost loved ones out there. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, and I don't know if you're shocked as myself with the numbers there in Madagascar, I was one of the few people who was actually optimistic about the COVID organic from Madagascar to perhaps be the solution to the COVID-19, not just in the continent, but in the world. And President Andry Rajoelina there had made a proclamation that everybody in Madagascar has to drink this. All the children, before going back to school, have to drink the COVID-19, and that happened a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know if maybe they opened the country a bit prematurely, and also the World Health Organization and African Union and other organizations have been cautioning people in countries who had even made orders of this COVID-19 or COVID organic, the herbal remedy from Madagascar, and said, if you have to take this thing, it has not been tested. We don't know its efficacy. We'd have to look at, its nature and all, and if at all it can be a solution for COVID-19. So they were a bit slow in endorsing this, and they said they'll take the herb to the lab and test it. They said that a couple of days ago, and I think they've not done that yet because I've not seen any such reports anywhere. And now you see the numbers there have gone up, and I'm thinking, all right, so this COVID organic, was it perhaps President Andry Rajoelina, did he make the announcement and excite all of us a bit too maturely, or what really is happening there in Madagascar? So thank you so much, wherever you are, wherever you're watching us from. It's always a pleasure to know where you're watching us from, and if there's anything you want me to know, so the rest of us can get to know, please get into typing and let me know there on the comment section. And as you do that, please let me know from which part of the world you're watching us this afternoon. So now let's just get into the African news. And we start with Nigeria. And Nigeria's information minister has said the country is yet to receive ventilators promised by the U.S. President Donald Trump in April. Lai Mohammed has denied Mr. Trump's last week remarks that he had sent 1,000 ventilators to the West African country. All right. So he said if the consignment arrived, he will be announced publicly. And President Trump made the promise in a telephone call with President Muhammadu Buhari on 28th of April. He said the U.S. was committed to helping Nigeria's response to the coronavirus pandemic. President Donald Trump, and then you mix that with President Muhammadu Buhari. And still in Nigeria, the wife of Nigeria's Kaduna State governor is under criticism for not using her influence to speak out against last week killings in the southern part of the state. Hadiza Isma El-Rufai she's the wife of that very controversial governor. You remember last year we were talking about something that he said that attracted a lot of criticism on social media and indeed in Nigeria itself. So the wife, Hadiza Isma El-Rufai, tweeted that although she was married to the governor, she took no oath of office and was not part of the government. About 14 people were killed by gunmen in a village in the state last week, the latest of a series of attacks that had left dozens dead this year. The governor's wife was tweeting in appreciation on how 80,000 followers when she was told to use her influence to call for an end to the killings. And so please let me know your thoughts about this. And we go to Ethiopia, where Amnesty International has accused Ethiopia's military of extrajudicial killings, mass detentions, and torture. It has released a report that documents crimes allegedly committed by soldiers throughout 2019. The same year, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts to reform the country. Alrighty then, let's see how that will play out for Mr. Abiy there. And in South Africa's firebrand opposition politician Julius Malema has urged people not to fall for the trap of going to church, saying they will die after contracting the coronavirus. Places of worship are set to reopen on 1st of June after President Cyril Ramaphosa announced easing of lockdown restrictions to level 3. But only 50 or less people will be allowed inside at any time. Mr. Malema on Thursday said reopening of churches would expose worshippers to infections and urged the religious leaders to keep them closed if they cared about the well-being of their people. Now, he advised members of his Economic Freedom Fighters Party not to attend worship, saying it is a setup. He said restaurants had better hygiene practices but remained closed, and so worship places should not reopen. And I think this is something that we've been debating on here for a very long time. Every day I think we talk about this because there are other countries that want to lift up some of these restrictions because mass gatherings was banned with a lot of countries except for Tanzania. I think it also did that, but it has been banned. Schools were closed, churches were closed, mosques were closed, all places of worship. And so President Cyril Ramaphosa, while addressing South Africans, I think earlier this week, he said that he is considering to lift the restrictions on places of worship, and come 1st of June, the churches, the mosques, the synagogues, name them, they'll all be open. And then they will limit the number of people coming in to worship. And this has been something that we've been debating on here. So now, Mr. Julius Malema, who I don't agree a lot of times with a lot of things he says, how he delivers the stuff that he says. A lot of times he makes sense, but I think his delivery, his manner in which he delivers the important message just, misses, is just covered with other things that now you can't really get the point. And I don't agree with him a lot of times, but on this one, I think I tend to agree with Julius Malema, and he's saying that that thing of President Cyril Ramaphosa wanting the country to lift the restrictions 1st of June and churches for people to go there and worship, he's saying that is a trap. You should not go to church. That is a trap. And I don't know why Cyril Ramaphosa would think this is a very wise thing to do. Seeing the numbers there in South Africa keep rising every single day, and it is the country that is leading here in Africa. So I think it is a death trap. I don't know what you think. I don't know what is your opinion on this. Please let me know. All right. So AU, the chairperson of the African Union, Cyril Ramaphosa, president of South Africa, has said that coronavirus pandemic is a major threat to developing countries' efforts to meet their development goals, which include targets on education, health, and eradicating poverty. So he's saying that coronavirus now is to blame for these developmental goals that AU member countries in Africa, of course, has to be Africa, have, and I don't know. education, health, eradicating poverty. These are the same things that our forefathers fought for when they were chasing away the white man, and they said we want independence. And while they wanted their independence, if you watch the speech by the first country that got independence here, first leader in the continent, Mr. President former Kwame Nkrumah, he said 3 things we're going to fight in Ghana, and it did in Africa, because when you watch now the following speeches from the different African countries during when they received their independence, a lot of leaders reiterated the same thing that Kwame Nkrumah said, and he said, we have 3 things to fight, and that is ignorance through education, disease through improving our health systems and ensuring that our people go to the hospitals, and 3, food. That was food security. And I am shocked, and not eradicating poverty and food security and all that, that is just part of it. And so many years later, after the first country in Africa received independence, so many years later, after all of us became independent, we're still fighting the same things that our forefathers fought to get independence from the white man. And now we are fighting the same things, the systems and the people and the leadership we've kept having in this continent came in with just a completely, totally different vision there that never supported this. So now, as Cyril Ramaphosa is saying, COVID-19 actually may hamper these goals. And I'm thinking, these are very important things, but they have never formed basis as a priority to a lot of leadership here in Africa. So stop using COVID-19 as a reason as to why they cannot, do some of these things. They've not been doing it. And COVID-19 just exposed an underbelly of a rotten healthcare system here in the continent. And these are the sad realities that we have to live with here as the people in this continent. So I think a smart or a wise leader in any country today in Africa, I hope where they are now, they're sitting down and they're trying to think, past COVID-19, how can I improve the health system for my people? How can I improve this food security? How can I improve the economy, the manufacturing industry inside, and just strengthen the economy of my country? Because now we've seen COVID-19 brought a lot of issues, and we saw every country was for itself, and so now it had to make us look back and see what do we have in our countries and how can we work with it. So can we now they go back and perhaps strategize on how to be using that to engage and to lift up and to grow the economy without necessarily depending on outside world. And yes, so addressing a UN meeting on how to handle the pandemic's economic fallout, the South African president repeated a call for debts to be halted for a period of 2 years and for a debt relief. All right, and we move to SADC, where the Southern Africa Development Community is gearing up for a full reopening of cross-border trading. What? Now, this comes after experts in the region express satisfaction over the precautionary measures countries within 16-member bloc have taken to prevent further spread of the coronavirus. Excuse you me, I think Kenya is a member of SADC. I think, no, not Kenya, but I think, Tanzania is a member of SADC, and other SADC, Zambia is a member of SADC. Remember, Zambia closed the border between it and Tanzania because of how President Pombe Magufuli has been handling this coronavirus thing in the country. So I don't know if Zambia will agree to this reopening of the boundaries. Well, President Magufuli is not serious at all about curbing the spread of not HIV, but coronavirus in his country. So these are things that they have to look at, and the guidelines adopted after a meeting of the SADC Council of Ministers on April 6th aimed at limiting the spread of COVID-19 and facilitating the implementation of the transport-related and national COVID-19 measures in cross-border transportation and facilitating flow of essential goods such as fuel, foods, and medicine. So right now they want to open it. I don't know how other countries will feel about that when other countries are not really taking proper and serious this COVID-19, such as Tanzania. I don't know if they will agree for a complete open border there, and so perhaps we are about to see a crisis there at SADC. So we go to Uganda, where Uganda has asked Kenya to adjust its plan to have goods heading to Uganda transported by train from Mombasa to Naivasha, in effect stopping trucks from going as far as the coast to pick the cargo. It was one of the several measures to control COVID-19 that has hit truck drivers crossing the borders. And you know what? That actually could work very well. And then we go to South Africa. No, I think we've done the South African one. And now we go back to Sudan, and an activist in Sudan are urging the UN and African Union not to go ahead with plans to withdraw 26,000 peacekeepers from Darfur this year, claiming the move will put lives at risk. The peacekeepers from the AU-UN hybrid operation in Darfur, which has a mandate to protect civilians by force, if necessary, will leave in October under plans expected to be agreed upon by the United Nations Security Council, although it is understood that the UK and Germany want to delay troop withdrawal. The withdrawal will make way of a new UN political mission in the country to help the government draw up a new constitution and arrange elections. I think it's very, that is very convenient now for the African troops, especially the troops under the African Union, to leave. You know, Omar al-Bashir was ousted last year, and so now, of course, this is a new leadership that has come up, and we've seen the Prime Minister there, Abdallah Hamdok, really eager to work with the West and try to restore, to put Sudan in good books in terms of international relations, right? And has been working hard to have Sudan removed from the list of the countries that sponsor terrorism across the world, something that the US has refused to do. So it is interesting to see now. Of course, the AU peacekeeping mission there will leave, you know, and now the UN will come in. And this is very interesting. From this, I just read that the withdrawal will make way for a new UN political mission in the country. Why does the UN want to have a political mission in Sudan at such a time as this? Quite interesting there. And we go to Mali, where 27 civilians have been killed during 3 attacks on villages which are home to people from the Dogon ethnic groups. Local officials believed the 3 attacks between Tuesday night and Wednesday evening had been carried out by Islamist militants who often say they are defending Fulani herders against rival Dogon farmers. We move to Rwanda, where 2 Rwandan provincial governors were suspended by President Paul Kagame following a campaign aimed at weeding out public servants who are judged to lack accountability. The 2, Emmanuel Gasana of Northern Province and Gatabazi Jean-Marie of Southern Province, will remain out of office until investigations into their performances are completed. And Executive Secretary to Gasana, Paul Jabo, also was suspended. And still in Rwanda, Rwanda's High Court has sentenced a former mayor to life in prison for his role in the 1994 genocide. Ladislas Ntanganzwa, who was arrested in the Democratic Republic of Congo 5 years ago, was found guilty of personally leading a series of massacres of Tutsi civilians, including an attack on a church where thousands had taken shelter. The former mayor of Southern Nyakizu was also accused of orchestrating the rape of many women. Earlier this month, investigators tracking genocide suspect had a major breakthrough when the alleged financier of the genocide, Felician Kabuga, was arrested in France. He is due to be tried at a tribunal in Tanzania. And we go to back to South Sudan, and we go to South Sudan, and police in Awel are searching for a COVID-19 patient who got away for the second time from quarantine facility on Thursday. And then you wonder why the numbers there in South Sudan are going up by the day. If the patients are running away, this is the second time this person is running away. Why didn't they put enough security there? And on Monday, authorities in the defunct Awel state announced the first 2 cases of the pandemic in the area. However, the State Secretary General Dominic Kang said one of the patients escaped after he was declared coronavirus positive. And on Tuesday, the police arrested the 42-year-old patient and returned him to the quarantine facility. And now the person has disappeared again. And so we look at some Biafra news. And the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Tuesday advised Biafrans to dedicate 3 days to pray for their fallen heroes. Kanu, who disclosed this in a statement sent to some groups there by the Public Secretary, Emma Powerful, said this year's Biafra Day would start with prayers and end with prayers. He said there will be no sit at home, noting that people have stayed longer at home during the coronavirus lockdown. IPOB wouldn't like to bother people with another lockdown in form of sit at home. So We all know. So what he said is, now the program for this year's event will last for 3 days, from the 27th to the 30th of May 2020. So we saw last year, of course, Biafrans, they are marking the Biafran Day by sitting at home. But this year, Nnamdi Kanu is telling you, no, you don't have to sit at home. Coronavirus has put you at home enough, so you can just go on about your lives there as long as you take care there. So thank you so much. That is the latest from the continent. Tembesia Mpula, you're saying Nigeria COVID is calm. The dead and recovery is fake. All right, so what is the exact situation there in Nigeria? Tembisa, please help me out. Mpula sounds like a name from the southern part of Africa, either South Africa or Botswana or Zimbabwe or thereabout. Please let me know. John Clark, you're saying people still fight the system. They have never been delivered, although kept by particular people. All right, thank you so much. John Clark, nice to see you today. And Musa Marena, good afternoon to you. Prophet Leopard Court, you're saying statistics, psychology without maths. Statistics, psychology without maths, I don't understand that. So Chima Chris, you're saying good morning, a very good afternoon to you. So that is the latest information we have from Africa this morning. And the news I read there earlier, John Clark, I know you just joined, about South Africa, where now Julius Malema is saying, is telling people, because President Cyril Ramaphosa announced that South Africa will lift up the sanctions, the restrictions on the 1st of June, and Julius Malema has come out and said, no, this is a setup, this is a trap. Because, as much as restaurants are also being opened, he's arguing that restaurants are able to keep better hygiene and they're able to monitor how many people and control the number of people coming into the eateries. But with church, you cannot. So he's calling this a trap, and he's saying this is a setup by President Cyril Ramaphosa, and soon and very soon, in South Africa, it's going to be a bloodbath. I don't know what you make of that, but thank you so much. That is the latest from the continent this afternoon. Thank you so much for watching. A very good afternoon to you.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.